I think pellets which are used here, they are more lethal than the bullets. Bullet has a single entry and single exit, and it might cause at the most single organ injury. But as far as the pellets is concerned, pellets are basically, they have multiple entries and multiple exits. Now, as a surgeon who's dealing with the abdominal surgeries and the thoracic surgeries, I personally believe that they cause more harm as far as bullet is concerned. Why? Because we have, especially in this turmoil, we saw that few patients who had thoracic injuries, their lungs had multiple contusions, so they went into hemo and pneumothorax. And similarly, one of the patient died because of cardiac tamponade. This pellet hit into his pericardium, and the blood, there was a lot of blood inside the pericardium. Because of that, the cardiac tamponade was there. Similarly, in abdominal surgeries, we have seen, I have personally dissected the bowel of almost 1 meter of a female patient. She had a multiple perforated bowel. So if it would have been a single bullet, it would have been on a single entry and single exit. But there were multiple perforations in the bowel. I had to resect a lot of bowel, and there were multiple perforations which we missed also. The chances of this patient having more morbidity is very high. Chances of her getting infection, we might be missing the pellets because they are small pellets, and the bowel is almost 3 to 4 meters. So if we might miss the small wound of bowel and the small hole in the bowel post-operatively, even if we have resected some part of that, we might miss it, and there might be some peritonitis infection which might lead to the death of a patient.
See, when a bullet hits a person, if it hits a vital organ, the on-spot death is probable. But as compared to the pellets, they are usually multiple. They are shot at a very close range, and though they are considered as non-lethal, but eye being the most vital structure and a soft tissue structure, once a pellet hits the eye, it perforates. It can have caused one perforation, it can come from the one side and leave from the other side. While traversing, it causes the devastation of the eye, because eye being a very delicate structure, you can lose the contents of the eye on spot, and then possibly whatsoever our remedy we may try, it is not possibly to restore the vision.
Current crisis, we handle almost 4 or 5 patients of abdominal injuries. Maximum patients were having injuries above the waist, and we lost 2-3 patients out of with the pellets itself. But as far as an abdominal surgeon and general surgeon, I personally believe that pellets are more lethal.
I think in the initial 24 hours we received the maximum number of the patients. It was around 90. Most of the patients were repaired in the initial 24 hours, and the basic job was meticulously done. See, the patients who have had a through and through pellet, they are the patients who can have the worst prognosis. But luckily there are very little of them, 1 or 2% are there. We have one patient admitted who has almost lost one eye at the outside, and another eye is also badly injured. The lids are involved and the other eye is involved. We may not be able to do much. This was for the first time we have witnessed that over 24 hours we have received such a huge number of the patients.
जब मैंने यहाँ से निकला खाना खा के, तो मैं रास्ते पे जा रहा था तो सियार वाले ने टारगेट फायर किया। सीधे आँख में पैलेट चला गया। वहाँ पे मामा को कॉल किया तो मामा ने गाड़ी में लिया तो आएगा।
संगम कदल कदलस नश बिहत बस
अच्छा
वोन मे गन अपर क्या बाइक वल वार 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 अब गर तरह वार 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 अत नीरू मज कदलस वो गाड़ी बुथ दरित
अच्छा
गाड़ी त्रमज बुथ अख शक बेस्टेप गाड़ी बस तुल डंड फल
Well, long-term effects, as far as the investigation is concerned, none of these patients will be subjected for MRI investigation in future, because in long-term maybe some of them might develop some diseases related to abdomen, related to hepatobiliary system, or related to CNS, central nervous system. So these patients cannot be subjected for MRI because they have now metallic objects inside their body.
कितने मक्खी मुझे यहाँ पर